Welcome, everyone, to today's exploration. I'm your host, and I am genuinely so excited to get into the materials we've got lined up for you today.
And I'm your resident analyst, thrilled to be here. We have some seriously paradigm-shattering stuff to talk about today.
We really do. So, to kick things off, I want you, the listener, to just try and wrap your mind around this one single statistic we pulled straight from the source document.
Yeah, this is the one that really gets people.
Right. It totally breaks how we're taught to view the world. So here it is. 99.999999% of our reality is entirely non-physical.
It's just wild to even think about.
It is. It's comprised of, energy, empty space, and consciousness, the solid physical matter like the things you can actually touch, the chair you're sitting in right now, the money in your bank account, your literal physical body. All of that makes up only 0.0000001% of existence.
Which means almost everything we are ever taught about how to achieve success or how to build a life or even just how to solve our daily problems.
Yep.
It's all focused exclusively on this microscopic fraction of reality. I mean, we are obsessing over a rounding error.
A rounding error. That's exactly what it is. And, that brings us to this highly relatable scenario that the texts bring up. I want you to think about someone you know.
We all know this person.
Oh, absolutely. Maybe it's a colleague or like a relentless entrepreneur. Or, hey, if we're being completely honest here, maybe you're picturing yourself right now.
Right.
This person is just highly dedicated. On paper, they're executing every single step perfectly, They're the ultimate hustler, pulling those grueling 80-hour work weeks.
Oh, yeah. Tracking all their metrics, optimizing the morning routines.
Waking up at 4 in the morning to plunge into ice water. And just forcing themselves through this wall of sheer exhaustion every single day, just trying to cross that finish line.
And society looks at that and says, yes, that is the pinnacle of a high performer.
Exactly. The blueprint we're handed is so clear. Physical grind equals physical reward.
But, and here's the catch, the reality for this person is usually this massive, frustrating contradiction.
Right. Because despite that monumental physical effort, they're completely stuck in the mud. The business growth is just stagnant.
Their personal relationships are fraying, too, because their mind is always 10 miles down the road. They're never actually present.
Yeah, the financial breakthrough never really arrives. And underneath all that performative productivity, there's just this hollow, gnawing sense of failure that they just can't shake.
Which is tragic because society basically guarantees that relentless action will bring fulfillment.
Right. So when it yields nothing but profound burnout, the immediate reaction is almost always self-blame.
Oh, for sure. People immediately think, well, I must not be pushing hard enough. I need to be more aggressive. I should probably cut out even more sleep.
But the insight from the materials we're analyzing today offers this complete reframing of that struggle. Because the person in this scenario isn't failing because of a lack of effort.
Not at all.
They are failing because they are playing the game of life using a rule book that flat out ignores the fundamental physics of how reality is actually generated.
They're trying to manipulate that 0.0000001% with blunt force, and they're completely ignoring the vast energetic field that actually dictates the outcomes.
So the core premise of our exploration today is this. Reality does not respond to physical force. It responds to energetic frequency.
Yes. That is the thesis right there.
And our objective is to really unpack the actual mechanics of reality creation. We're going to map out how you can shift from this brutal, exhausted paradigm of physical effort over to one of energetic alignment.
But before we get to the mechanics of how to do that, we kind of have to do a diagnostic, right?
Right. We have to look at the trap that almost everyone listening to this is currently caught in, the default programming.
Exactly. And the text we're drawing from outline two primary paradigms that serve as the operating systems for, well, the vast majority of humanity.
Let's get into those. What's the first one?
The first one is widely known as the have-do-be model.
Have, do, be. Okay, let's pull that apart. What does that actually look like in someone's daily life?
So it operates on this deeply ingrained belief that you must first have a specific set of external circumstances, like a certain amount of money, or the perfect romantic partner, or a specific job title.
Or even just perfect health.
Right, perfect health. And the logic goes that once you have those resources securely in place, then you'll finally be free to do the actions you genuinely care about.
Oh, well, like then I'll finally travel, or then I'll start my passion project.
Exactly. Then I'll relax. And then at the very end of this chronological chain, you will finally get to be happy or peaceful or fulfilled.
Wow. It's like the classic deferred life plan. Once I have $1 million in my retirement account, I will do the traveling I've dreamed of, and then I will be joyful.
That's the exact trap.
But, I mean, the flaw there seems pretty obvious, right? You're making your internal state of being a hostage to external variables that you often cannot control at all.
It's actually worse than just making it a hostage. From a neurological standpoint, and physiological, really, you are constantly signaling to your nervous system that you are currently in a state of lack.
Because you're saying, I don't have it yet.
Yes. You are broadcasting the message, I do not have enough right now. And the biological response to that message is low-level chronic stress.
So you're basically living in a permanent waiting room, just assuming the feeling of joy is gated behind some physical milestone you haven't hit yet.
Which naturally leads people to try and force that milestone to happen. And that brings us to the second default operating system.
Ah, right. The do-have-be model.
Yes, the ultimate hustle culture ethos. The sequence just changes slightly here. This model dictates that you must do the grueling work first.
You suffer through the grind. You sacrifice your peace of mind.
Also, so you could eventually have the success, the house, the status. And then, as the ultimate reward for your suffering, you will finally be fulfilled.
It's so backwards. Both of these models share the exact same fatal flaw. They put the being, the actual internal state of joy or abundance or peace dead last.
Always last.
They treat human emotion as an afterthought. Like it's a prize you get at the bottom of a cereal box after you force yourself to eat all the dry flakes.
That's a great way to put it. And that structural flaw basically guarantees that you will remain on a perpetual hamster wheel.
Because the goalpost keeps moving.
Exactly. If you're seeking a state of being at the end of a long chain of physical struggles, the horizon will always recede as you approach it. The foundational premise is just broken.
To visualize this for you guys listening, think of it like trying to build a massive, beautiful mansion on top of a sinkhole.
Ooh, I like that analogy.
Right. You're pouring all this incredible physical effort into the architecture, the doing and the having. You're putting up marble pillars. You're installing crystal chandeliers.
Sparing no expense.
Yeah, but the foundation, your actual state of being, is a sinkhole of anxiety, exhaustion, and the feeling of never being enough. It genuinely doesn't matter how hard you work on the house, the foundation is going to swallow it.
The building materials themselves become compromised by the foundation.
Yeah.
But, we should probably address the obvious counter-argument here.
Oh, for sure. Because I know exactly what people are thinking right now. Honestly, I'm thinking it too.
Right.
We all know individuals who operate exclusively on that do-have-be hustle model, and they absolutely crush it on paper. Like, they grind themselves to the bone, they compromise their sleep, their relationships.
And they get rich.
Exactly. They achieve massive wealth. They get the mansion. They get the CEO title. If this system is so broken, how do the materials account for these highly visible success stories?
Well, the texts don't deny that physical accumulation is possible through brute force.
Okay.
You can absolutely acquire physical matter by manipulating other physical matter. That works. But the framework points to the inevitable internal reality of that achievement.
Which is what?
Gaining physical success through a misaligned, fear-based state of beingness creates an incredibly hollow victory. This is the exact psychological mechanism behind the miserable millionaire trope.
Oh, wow. So the physical stuff arrives, but the internal state remains locked in the frequency of the struggle.
Exactly. Just think about the neurobiology of it. If you spend 20 years training your brain to operate on the frequencies of hypervigilance, stress, fear of failure, and aggressive competition just to get the money.
Your brain gets wired that way.
Yes, your neural pathways are heavily cemented in those exact states. So when the millions finally hit the bank account, the money doesn't magically rewire your brain's chemistry.
You just become a person with chronic cortisol levels who happens to own a yacht.
That's exactly it. The physical goal was achieved, but the energetic state never shifted. The wealth feels entirely empty because it was generated from a frequency of lack.
They built the mansion on the sinkhole, and now they're sitting in the living room terrified that the floor is going to cave in at any second.
Which brings us right back to the central problem. If starting with physical action is a recipe for either burnout or hollow victories, what is the actual foundation we should be building on?
Right.
We need to look at the physics of how reality actually materializes.
Let's do it. Let's go back to that staggering statistic from the beginning. 99.999999% non-physical energy, space, and consciousness.
And only 0.0000001% solid matter.
When you truly digest that, it makes our daily obsessions look almost comical, doesn't it?
It really does.
We are conditioned from birth to trust only what our physical senses can verify. Like, if we can touch it, see it, or measure it, we think it is the ultimate truth. We treat physical matter as the primary driver of life.
But from the perspective of quantum mechanics, which, by the way, the materials reference heavily, that solid matter is essentially a localized illusion.
A localized illusion.
Yeah. It is a tiny, tiny condensation of a much vaster energetic field.
Yeah.
I mean, Max Planck, one of the founding figures of quantum theory, is quoted in the texts. He asserts that consciousness is fundamental. Matter is merely a derivative of consciousness.
You cannot get behind consciousness.
Exactly. Everything we talk about, everything we regard as existing, postulates consciousness.
The source texts use this analogy, comparing reality to a computer and a CD. But let's modernize that a bit to make it clearer for the listener today.
Good idea.
Think of the physical world, your current job, your physical health, your apartment, as a local web page that's cached on your phone's browser.
Okay, a cache page.
Right, it's just a subset of data. The non-physical energetic realm, that 99.9999999% is the massive global cloud server architecture running the entire internet. It's the superset.
That is a much more accurate parallel. So think about it. What happens if you don't like the information displayed on that cache webpage, and you try to change it by taking a permanent marker and scribbling on your phone's glass screen?
You just ruin your phone.
Right. The underlying code of the website hasn't changed at all. You were just fighting the physical interface.
Wow. Exactly. If you want to fundamentally change the output on the screen, you have to access the superset. You have to log into the cloud server and rewrite the actual code.
And in the context of our lives, that code is your energetic frequency.
Which introduces what I found to be, honestly, the most provocative, mind-bending concept in the entire stack of materials we looked at.
Oh, I know what you're going to say.
The idea that our current physical reality is not actually the present. The text refers to our physical circumstances as an energetic history.
Yes.
Can you break down the mechanics of that for us? Because it's a lot to wrap your head around.
Absolutely. So the premise here relies on understanding density and vibration. Physical matter is the densest, slowest vibrating form of energy.
Okay, dense and slow.
Because it is so dense, it possesses immense inertia. It takes a significant amount of time for the non-physical energetic signal, which is your thoughts, your dominant emotions, your internal frequency, to slow down enough to condense into a physical form.
So it's kind of like light traveling from a distant galaxy. Like, by the time that starlight finally hits the lens of a telescope here on Earth, the star that emitted it might have burned out or moved thousands of years ago.
That is a perfect analogy.
We're seeing a historical record of the star, not its present state.
Yes, that is the exact mechanism. Your physical reality today, the balance in your checking account this morning, the state of your physical health right now, the specific challenges you're dealing with at work, they are not your present reality. They are the delayed echo, the printed receipt of how you were thinking, feeling, and vibrating weeks, months, or even years ago.
Okay, I have to push back here on behalf of the listener.
Go for it.
Because conceptually, that sounds beautiful, but practically, if I have an eviction notice taped to my front door right now telling me that is just an energetic echo, feels deeply dismissive of my immediate suffering.
I completely understand that reaction.
Like, I have to deal with that physical problem today. I can't just tell my landlord, oh, sorry, this eviction is just a localized illusion based on my past vibrations.
No, you definitely can't do that. And the framework is very careful not to suggest that you ignore practical reality.
Okay, good.
You absolutely have to interact with the physical world. You pay the rent, you go to the doctor, you answer the urgent emails. But the critical shift is in your internal relationship to those physical events.
How so?
When you look at that eviction notice, the default reaction is panic, despair, and a profound sense of victimhood. Right?
Yeah, of course. Panic is the natural response.
But by doing that, you let that physical piece of paper dictate your current internal frequency.
Oh, I see. You absorb the energy of the problem.
Exactly. And by absorbing the energy of that past manifestation, you basically guarantee its repetition. You're essentially taking the old code, copying it, and pasting it into the cloud server for your future.
Wow.
The texts argue that you must deal with the physical circumstance while simultaneously maintaining the internal awareness that this is old news.
So you handle the eviction notice, but you refuse to let it lower your energetic baseline.
Right. Because you know your current frequency is already busy compiling a different future.
That makes a lot of sense. If you panic about the stagnant bank account, you are basically screaming at a photograph for not changing.
That's a great way to look at it.
You cannot reach into a printed Polaroid and rearrange the furniture. But that is precisely what the do-have-be hustle mentality attempts to do.
Mhm.
It tries to force the 0.000000001% of physical matter to change using more physical density.
It is the definition of wasted energy. You are fighting density with density. This requires a radical surrender. You have to stop giving your primary emotional attention to the derivative, the physical world, and start giving it entirely to the source, which is your consciousness.
Recognizing that the physical world is just a delayed echo takes a massive weight off your shoulders, honestly.
It really does. It's incredibly freeing.
It means you don't have to be discouraged by your current lack of results. Your current reality is just the exhaust fumes of an old engine you don't even drive anymore.
Beautifully said.
But this raises the most critical question of our exploration today. If we are currently transmitting a signal of stress, lack, and exhaustion, how do we actually rewrite the code? How do we flip the incoming energetic signal to create a better future?
Well, we have to completely discard those broken paradigms we started with. We abandon have do be and do have be, and we adopt the ultimate reality creation sequence, be do have.
Be, do, have. Let's really analyze the mechanics of the sequence. How does starting with be alter the physics of our daily actions?
So in the be do have model, your primary job, your absolute most crucial task, is to first cultivate the state of being.
Before anything happens physically.
Yes. You have to intentionally generate the frequency of abundance, perfect health, or absolute joy before a single piece of physical evidence arrives to justify it. You are generating the feeling independently of the environment.
Going back to our earlier analogy, it's like you are making sure you bake the cake with sugar from the very first step, rather than hoping the heat of the oven will miraculously transform salt into sweetness.
Precisely. You are matching the frequency of the reality you want to experience in the quantum field.
And what happens when you do that?
When you hold that frequency, it naturally begins to alter your neurochemistry, your thoughts, and your impulses. And this naturally leads to inspired doing.
Inspired doing, not forced doing.
Exactly. And that inspired frictionless action inevitably results in having the physical manifestation.
But how do we measure or categorize these states of being? Because the source materials refer extensively to a scale of consciousness.
Yes, the scale is fundamental.
It's described almost like a vertical ladder of human emotion and energetic frequency.
It is a vital map for this process. At the bottom of this scale, you find states like deep shame, guilt, apathy, profound grief, and fear.
The heavy stuff.
Right. And the framework categorizes these as catabolic states.
Let's explain the biology and physics of that word for a second. Catabolic. What does that actually mean inside the human body?
Well, in biology, a catabolic process is one that breaks down molecules into smaller units. It usually releases energy, but it often destroys tissue in the process.
So it's destructive.
Energetically, yes. Catabolic states are highly entropic. They generate chaos and internal resistance. When you are steeped in chronic fear or guilt, your nervous system is trapped in a sympathetic fight-or-flight response.
You're just constantly braced for impact.
Right. Your body is flooded with cortisol and adrenaline. Your heart rhythms become jagged and incoherent. You're literally breaking down your own cellular structure, and you're broadcasting a highly disorganized, weak electromagnetic signal into the field.
So it isn't just a metaphor. Being in a state of fear is biologically and quantumly destructive.
It truly is.
So what happens as we move up the ladder?
There is a defined critical threshold. Once you move past anger and pride, you cross into what the texts call anabolic states.
Anabolic.
These begin with courage, willingness, and acceptance, and they scale all the way up to reason, love, joy, and ultimately profound peace.
And anabolic implies growth and synthesis, right?
Yes, exactly. These states are life-supporting. When you operate from a frequency of gratitude or joy, your nervous system shifts into a parasympathetic state.
The rest and digest state.
Yes.
Yeah.
Your body starts producing DHEA, the vitality hormone. Your heart rate variability smooths out into a highly coherent wave pattern.
Wow.
You are generating a powerful, highly organized electromagnetic signal that can interact with the quantum field with far more influence.
So the higher you climb on this scale, the less physical friction you experience, and the faster the physical world molds to your signal.
That's the physics of it.
So the obvious goal is to just jump straight to joy and peace, right?
Well,
Because here is where the friction really starts for me, and I know listeners will struggle with this. The materials recommend a practice called the Feel Better Now game to climb this scale.
It is the central daily practice, yes.
Okay, I have to play devil's advocate here because the alarm bells are ringing for me.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Is this not just the textbook definition of toxic positivity? Like if someone is facing a devastating illness, or if they are trapped in systemic poverty, are we really telling them to just plaster a fake smile on their face and pretend everything is fantastic?
I'm really glad you brought that up.
Because that feels incredibly patronizing and honestly psychologically damaging.
It is a phenomenal pushback, and it is a trap so many people fall into when trying to apply these concepts. The texts are completely unambiguous about this.
Yeah.
The practice is absolutely not toxic positivity.
Please clarify the difference because the line seems really thin from where I'm sitting.
Okay, so toxic positivity is an exercise in denial. It is a psychological masking technique where you experience internal despair, but you force an external display of joy.
Good vibes only, even when you're miserable.
Right. And from a quantum mechanics perspective, that is a complete disaster. The universe, the unified field, does not listen to the words coming out of your mouth. It does not look at the fake smile on your face.
What does it look at?
It reads your authentic, baseline energetic frequency. If you're terrified internally, but you're chanting positive affirmations externally, the gap between your words and your actual vibration creates massive energetic dissonance. You are broadcasting chaos.
You cannot trick the quantum field with a bumper sticker slogan.
Exactly. You cannot fake frequency. The Feel Better Now game is entirely about authentic, incremental, and often gritty emotional shift.
Gritty emotional shifts. I like that phrasing.
You cannot jump from deep, crippling apathy straight to pure, unadulterated bliss. The vibrational gap is simply too wide. Your nervous system literally cannot process that leap.
It's like trying to jump from the ground to the roof of a 3-story building. You will fail, and the failure will just reinforce your despair.
Exactly.
So how do you actually execute this game in real time? If I'm feeling awful, what do I do?
You climb the emotional ladder in agonizingly small degrees, if necessary. You sit with your current emotion, you identify without judgment, and you ask yourself, what is an emotion I have genuine access to right now that feels even a millimeter better than where I currently am?
Just a millimeter better.
Yes. And the texts give a deeply fascinating example of this that really challenged my preconceptions. They state that if you are completely submerged in apathy or severe depression, moving up into a state of anger is actually a massive evolutionary leap.
Wow. Okay, from a traditional societal perspective, we are taught to suppress anger. It's viewed as dangerous, as a negative emotion.
We are, but the materials look at it purely through the lens of physics and biology.
Let's unpack the mechanics of that. Why on earth is anger an upgrade from apathy?
Think about the biological state of apathy. Apathy is the freeze response. Okay.
It is a state of total powerlessness. Your energy is entirely depleted. The internal narrative is, nothing matters and I cannot change anything.
It's the lowest possible energetic output.
Right. Anger, on the other hand, possesses tremendous mobilizing energy.
Oh. It's the fight response. Adrenaline enters the chat.
Yes. The internal narrative shifts to, this is wrong and I am going to fight it. Anger generates forward motion. It shatters the paralysis of the freeze response.
That makes perfect sense.
Now, the critical caveat the materials emphasize is that you do not want to set up camp in anger and live there.
Right, because chronic anger will destroy your biology just as surely as apathy.
Exactly. But you can authentically harness the mobilizing heat of anger to pull yourself out of the mud of apathy.
You use it as fuel for a brief sprint.
Yes. And once you have that momentum, you use it to step up to the next rung. You shift the anger into determination, which the scale calls courage.
And from courage.
From courage, you eventually relax into willingness, and from willingness, you can finally reach for joy. I appreciate that framing immensely. It strips away the pressure of having to be, spiritually perfect all the time.
Completely.
You are not failing if you aren't blissful. You are just looking for the very next accessible rung on the ladder. It frames this as a process of emotional rehabilitation, not a demand for emotional perfection.
That's a great way to summarize it.
If you are feeling terrible 95% of the day, and you utilize this game to reduce it to 80% of the day, that 15% shift is a monumental vibrational upgrade. You are systematically rewriting the code.
Absolutely. But reaching a higher state of consciousness occasionally isn't enough to permanently alter the physical derivative.
Right. Maintaining it is the hard part.
Very hard. Maintaining that high frequency in a modern world that is hyper-optimized to drag you down requires ruthless boundaries.
Ruthless
Yeah.
boundaries.
And this introduces a highly practical concept from the sources, the absolute necessity of an energetic diet.
An energetic diet. Okay, we understand diets when it comes to the physical body. Like, if you eat fast food every day, your biology breaks down. But we rarely apply that same level of scrutiny to what we feed our consciousness.
The premise is identical. Just as a professional athlete monitors every single gram of physical food they consume, you must ruthlessly monitor the vibrational transference of everything you allow into your mental space.
Vibrational transference.
Every conversation, every piece of media, every environment possesses a specific frequency. And through the law of entrainment, it influences yours.
Let's talk about the specific junk food of the energetic diet because it is just everywhere.
Oh, it's ubiquitous.
Doom scrolling through social media, consuming sensationalized, fear-based news cycles that are algorithmically designed to trigger your amygdala.
Spending time with peers who constantly complain, gossip, and just reinforce a victim mentality.
Yes. Those inputs are not harmless entertainment.
Not at all. They act as heavy catabolic weights. You can do a beautiful, highly coherent 30-minute meditation in the morning. But if you spend the next 10 hours marinating in toxic news and office gossip, your dominant vibrational code for that day is still firmly rooted in survival mode.
The algorithm of your reality will output exactly what you fed it.
Exactly.
I mean, the default mode network in the brain literally entrains to the frequency of fear. So cutting the junk is step one. But nature abhors a vacuum.
Yes, it does.
What do we replace it with? How do we build an energetic diet that sustains an anabolic state throughout the day?
Well, the materials detail several very specific physiological practices for maintaining a high-frequency baseline. And the foundational habit is called tune-ins.
Tune-ins. The brilliance of tune-ins seems to lie in their reliance on consistency rather than duration.
That's exactly it. The practical application is to set a recurring alarm on your phone, perhaps every 60 or 90 minutes throughout your waking day.
Okay, I want to know exactly what happens when that alarm goes off. What is the listener actually doing at their desk or in their car?
When the alarm sounds, you must completely arrest your physical momentum for just 1 to 2 minutes. You interrupt the autopilot.
A hard pause.
Yes. During those 60 seconds, you execute a rapid baseline reset. The text suggests several methods for this. You might perform a rampage of appreciation.
What's that?
It's a rapid-fire mental listing of everything you are currently grateful for, no matter how small.
Oh, like the warm coffee, the fact that your car started today, the sunlight coming through the window.
Exactly. Or you simply observe your current thought loop, recognize if it has drifted into stress, and consciously redirect your focus back to the elevated vision you are trying to manifest.
The mechanical genius of this practice is that it prevents catastrophic energy drains.
How so?
Well, think about a typical workday. We start at 8 a.m. feeling relatively okay, right?
Yeah.
But we endure a dozen micro-stressors, an annoying email, a traffic jam, a looming deadline.
Yep, the daily grind.
By 5 p.m., the tank is completely empty, and we are in a deeply catabolic state. But if you are topping off your energetic tank every 60 minutes, you never hit empty. You never allow the baseline to completely crash.
And the texts stress that reality responds to your dominant daily vibration. A high frequency is essentially a habit. It is a muscle.
And tune-ins are the reps.
Tune-ins are the reps that build the muscle memory of higher consciousness. A 2-minute tune-in every hour is exponentially more powerful than an isolated hour of meditation on a Sunday, followed by 6 days of unchecked stress.
Consistency over intensity. Another fundamental practice they emphasize is diaphragmatic breathing.
Yes.
Which sounds almost too basic to be profound, you know? But the physiological mechanics behind it are basically the key to unlocking the quantum states.
It truly is the bridge between the dense physical body and the non-physical energetic field.
How does that work?
When people are operating in the default hustle mode, their breathing is shallow, rapid, and confined to the upper chest.
Right.
This chest breathing signals the brain that the body is under threat, locking you into that sympathetic catabolic state.
You cannot access higher frequencies if your biology thinks a tiger is currently chasing you.
Precisely. So the text instructs a specific breathing mechanic, taking slow, deliberate breaths, drawing the air deep into the belly first.
Okay, belly first.
Allowing it to expand upward to fill the chest and collarbone, and then releasing it with a very slow, controlled exhale.
And just doing like 10 cycles of this breathing physically stimulates the vagus nerve, doesn't it?
Yes, it forces a manual override of the nervous system. It shifts you aggressively into the parasympathetic rest and digest state.
It literally lowers the frequency of your brain waves from high beta stress to the calmer alpha states, which are necessary for conscious reality creation.
Which perfectly sets the stage for the most advanced practice detailed in the materials.
Oh, the Torus activation.
Yes, the Torus activation.
The notes on this are incredibly vivid. Let me break down the visualization process for the listeners because it is a brilliant method for conceptualizing and commanding your personal bioelectromagnetic field.
Please do.
Okay, so you begin by anchoring yourself with that deep vagal breathing we just talked about. Then you close your eyes and begin to visualize a stream of pure energy.
The text suggests a bright white or golden light.
Right, a bright white light. And you visualize it drawing up from the deep earth, entering right through the soles of your feet.
You track that energy with your mind's eye as it moves up through your legs, your torso.
Traveling straight up your spinal column.
Yes.
You visualize it rising all the way up and then shooting out the crown of your head, extending high up into the universe to connect with an infinite anabolic source of energy.
And then?
Then, on the exhale, you visualize pulling that infinite energy back down, letting it pour over you, saturating your cellular structure, and traveling back down to ground into the earth.
But the geometry of this visualization is the critical component here. It isn't just a straight line going up and down.
Right, it's not just a beam.
As you continue this flow, you visualize the energy coming out of the top of your head and cascading down around your physical body in all directions, like an umbrella of light or a continuously flowing fountain.
And simultaneously, the energy from below is flowing up and around you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It creates a complete, unbroken, pulsating sphere around your body, a torus shape.
Like a donut.
Kind of like a donut, yeah. It looks like the magnetic field of the Earth, or actually the actual electromagnetic field generated by the human heart.
Because that is exactly what you are activating.
It is. The heart generates an electromagnetic field thousands of times stronger than the brain. The Torus activation isn't just a whimsical daydream. It is an active, intentional engagement with your neurocardiology.
You are commanding your energetic field to come online. You vividly see this bubble getting denser, pulsating brighter with every single breath. You are laying down a mandate to the quantum field. I am operating at a higher frequency.
If a listener does this for just 5 minutes in their office chair, they will undeniably feel a physiological temperature shift.
They will feel a literal hum in their nervous system.
Because they have ceased being a passive victim of their environment and have begun actively generating their own atmosphere.
Okay, so let's look at the sequence we've built so far. You have stopped building your life on a sinkhole.
Check.
You understand that physical matter is just a slow echo of past energy. You have cleared the junk out of your energetic diet, and you are running these daily maintenance protocols, the tune-ins, the breathing, and the Torus.
Because you've got a solid baseline.
Suddenly, you possess this massive, clarified reservoir of internal power. Your baseline frequency is incredibly high. But power without a target is just chaotic potential. It doesn't yield specific physical results. So where do you aim this energy?
And this brings us to the final, crucial phase of the be-do-have model. The concept of singular focus, or what the older foundational texts refer to as a definite chief aim.
A definite chief aim. Let's really explore the physics of focus, because I can easily imagine someone getting to this blissful, high-energy state and just sort of floating there.
Right, just feeling good.
They feel great, but their external reality, their bank account, their career remains completely unchanged.
If you want to manifest a specific, tangible change in the dense physical world, your energetic signal cannot be diffused.
It has to be like a laser.
Exactly. The texts provide a perfect analogy for this. Imagine a massive ship out on the ocean.
Okay.
If that ship has one captain at the helm, with a singular, clearly defined destination, the engines power the ship directly there. It navigates any storms along the way because it knows exactly where it's going.
Makes sense.
But imagine that same ship with 20 different captains on the bridge, all shouting different coordinates into the navigation system at the exact same time.
Oh man, the engines are running at full power, but the rudder is just swinging wildly left and right.
Right. The ship just spins in chaotic circles, burning fuel but going absolutely nowhere.
And human consciousness operates under those exact same mechanical constraints, doesn't it?
It really does. If your high-frequency energy is simultaneously focused on trying to get a promotion, launch a side hustle, find a soulmate, lose 20 pounds, and learn conversational French.
Your energetic signal is utterly fragmented.
Yes. In quantum terms, you are not generating a sufficiently concentrated probability wave to collapse the field of infinite possibilities into a singular physical reality.
You are spreading your energetic bet across way too many numbers on the roulette wheel.
You must select a singular overriding vision that genuinely excites you, a goal you can clearly conceive and emotionally believe is possible, and you must make that your absolute North Star. And this is where the process requires a level of mental discipline that honestly borders on the obsessive.
It's not easy. The materials use a phrase that really stuck with me. They discuss the absolute necessity of maintaining more loyalty to your vision than to your current physical circumstances.
Which is undoubtedly the point where most people abandon the process.
Because human biology is wired for survival, and survival demands that we pay attention to immediate physical threats.
Right. The tiger in the bushes.
Exactly. The current circumstances are screaming in your face. The bank account is overdrawn today. The client rejected the proposal this morning. The physical evidence of failure is right there sitting on the desk.
It is incredibly compelling. But we must return to the physics established earlier. That overdrawn bank account, that rejection email, they are merely the energetic history. They are the fading photograph of your past frequency.
They're the cached web page.
Yes. If you react to that rejection email with terror and despair, if you allow it to dictate your emotional state today, you're actively hitting the copy-paste button on your reality.
You're taking the code of that failure and programming it into your future.
Complaining about your current circumstances is the energetic superglue that keeps you permanently attached to them.
Wow. Complaining is energetic superglue. That's powerful. So, having loyalty to your vision requires a radical cognitive override.
What does that look like in practice?
It means you look at the unwanted physical reality, you acknowledge its presence without an emotional reaction, you handle the logistics like paying the bill, and then you violently yank your focus back to the feeling of the unseen destination.
Violently yank it back. I like that.
You must fixate on the quantum possibility with such density and emotional intensity that the current physical reality simply loses its psychological grip on you.
And the texts actually reveal a highly specific, fascinating timeline regarding how long you must maintain this focus.
Oh, right. The quantum to Newtonian transition point.
Yes. Materials suggest that if you can maintain this concentrated, unwavering energetic flow toward a singular vision, dramatic physical shifts typically occur within a window of 6 to 8 weeks.
6 to 8 weeks. I want to dive into the mechanics of that specific time frame. Why isn't it instantaneous? Why does it take 2 entire months?
Well, it comes back to the density and inertia of physical matter we discussed earlier. Remember, the 0.000000001% physical world moves very slowly compared to the speed of thought.
Right.
When you hold a new high-frequency vision, you are immediately changing the probability wave in the quantum field. But for that wave to collapse into dense matter, for circumstances to align, for other people to be inspired to act, for physical resources to actually move.
It requires a gestation period.
Yes.
There is also a biological component to that timeline, isn't there?
Absolutely. 6 to 8 weeks aligns perfectly with the time it takes for deep neuroplasticity to occur in the human brain. It takes roughly that long of sustained focus to physically wire new neural networks, to change your baseline hormonal outputs, and to literally undergo cellular turnover, where your body becomes physically addicted to the new frequency of abundance rather than the old frequency of stress.
You are fundamentally rebuilding your biological antenna to receive a completely different station.
Exactly.
Okay. But I must raise a massive red flag here.
I'm ready.
I need to challenge the practical application of this because it risks sounding a lot like magical thinking to a skeptical listener.
Fair enough.
So, if I understand the timeline, I do my vagal breathing, I maintain my Torus activation, I hold my singular vision of a booming business, and I ignore my current lack of clients.
Yes.
Do I just sit on my living room couch inside my energetic bubble for 8 weeks and a successful business magically materializes in my kitchen?
No, that is the greatest misconception of manifestation, and the framework we are studying firmly refutes it.
Thank goodness.
Physical action is absolutely unequivocally required. Action is the final loop of the creation sequence. You cannot skip the do and be-do have.
Okay, so action is still on the table. But if I am still taking action, how is this mechanically any different from the brutal hustle grind we dismantled at the very beginning of our conversation?
The profound difference lies entirely in the origin point of the action.
The origin point.
Yes, in the do-have-be hustle model, action is forced. It originates from a frequency of panic, lack, and the desperate need to control external variables. You are pushing a boulder uphill.
Sweating the whole way.
But in the be-do-have model, because you have fundamentally altered your internal frequency soast, the action shifts from forced to inspired.
Okay, break down the anatomy of inspired action for me. What does it actually feel like compared to forced action?
When your nervous system is anchored in an anabolic state of calm certainty, the cognitive centers of your brain actually open up. You begin receiving ideas, sudden hunches, and intuitive nudges that you literally did not have access to when you were operating at the lower frequency of fear.
You're tuning into a different broadcast.
Exactly. The action feels completely frictionless. It feels like entering a flow state.
It's like the sudden urge to take a different route to work, or feeling inexplicably compelled to call an old colleague you haven't spoken to in years, and they happen to have the exact opportunity you need.
That's inspired action. But here is the critical friction point where the egoic mind usually rebels.
What's that?
What happens when the inspired impulse makes absolutely no logical sense?
Oh boy.
What if your intuition strongly urges you to go sit in a specific coffee shop on a Tuesday afternoon, but your rational brain is screaming, "We cannot go to a coffee shop. We have 30 urgent emails to answer to save this business."
The logical mind demands a spreadsheet. It demands a linear plan.
Which leads to what might be the most difficult, provocative rule in this entire quantum manifestation framework.
And what is that?
The how is none of your business.
Wow, that statement is aggressively counterintuitive. The how is none of your business. As someone who loves strategy and planning, that phrase is genuinely terrifying.
It is entirely designed to terrify the egoic analytical mind. We have to look at the computational limits of the human brain here.
Okay, let's look at them.
Your conscious mind can only calculate future possibilities based strictly on the data it has collected from the known past.
Right. It only knows what it has already experienced.
Exactly. It looks at the meager resources currently on the table, it looks at past failures, and it attempts to draw a grueling linear path from point A to point B to point C.
The mind is trying to solve a massive, complex puzzle, but it only has access to, like, 3 puzzle pieces.
Yes. But the quantum field, the 99.99999% superset, operates entirely in the realm of the unknown.
The cloud server.
It possesses infinite computational power. It can see the entire picture on the front of the box. It is capable of connecting dots, aligning synchronicities, and moving pieces that are completely invisible to your limited physical senses.
So if you insist on rigidly controlling the how, if you demand that the universe deliver your vision exactly according to your 10-step business plan, you are effectively strangling the possibilities.
You limit your results to only what your past-obsessed brain can logically predict.
Yeah.
And true breakthroughs, by their very definition, never originate from the known.
They have to come from the unknown. So your mandate in this framework is incredibly simple, though incredibly difficult to execute. Your job is not to map out the next 20 steps. Your job is to fiercely hold the vision, maintain the high-frequency internal state, and take the very next logical or intuitive step that appears right in front of you.
Even if it is just going to that coffee shop.
You execute the immediate action, but you completely detach from controlling the overarching mechanism. You trust that the non-physical superset is busy compiling the rest of the code behind the scenes.
You allow the universe the space to surprise you with the delivery method.
You manage the frequency, the field manages the logistics. I love that. So bringing this entire expansive journey full circle. Let's return to the exhausted professional we discussed in the opening minutes.
Yes, a 80-hour-a-week hustler.
The person running on cortisol and caffeine, feeling like an absolute failure despite doing everything right. If they genuinely integrate the mechanics of this framework, what does their reality look like?
It is nothing short of a total systemic transformation.
By abandoning that grueling, fear-driven do-have-be physical grind and stepping into the be-do-have energetic flow, they fundamentally change their relationship with existence itself.
They stop trying to alter the underlying code of the universe by aggressively scratching at the glass of their phone screen.
They elevate themselves from being an unconscious victim, constantly reacting to every bill, every setback, and every fading echo of their past history.
And they assume the role of a conscious architect of their reality.
It shifts the entire burden of existence, doesn't it?
It really does.
You realize you do not have to carry the weight of manipulating the entire world on your shoulders. You don't have to force doors open.
Your only genuine responsibility is to manage the quality of your own internal frequency. The heavy lifting is done internally, and the external world simply reorganizes to reflect it.
It is the ultimate realization of personal power,
Truly.
which leaves us with a profound shift in perspective to carry forward. So for you listening right now, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over.
Take this with you.
Take a moment and look at the biggest, most stubborn obstacle in your life right now. The barrier that causes you the deepest anxiety, the one you have been trying to physically smash through for months or even years.
You all have one.
What if that obstacle isn't a solid, immovable problem at all? What if it is simply the fading echo, the delayed receipt of an energetic state you no longer have to believe in?
That changes everything.
It really does. We want to warmly thank you for joining us on this exploration of the mind and reality today. We hope it brings a new level of ease and power to your life. Until next time.